You're listening to the JD Rucker Show. Let's begin. All right, let's start off with a quick note of apology. I have not been fulfilling my duty, my responsibility of getting at least 5 or more shows up a week, and I apologize for that. It's been crazy. In Rucker World, some crazy things happening, some good things. The good things seem to be outweighing the bad things, so that's awesome. And I can't wait to share all of the amazing news with y'all. But right now, I want to dive right back into the show because it's necessary. An article popped up on my radar over the weekend that really got me thinking. You know, I read the Bible. Many of you, I'm sure, read the Bible, and it blows me away it doesn't matter how many times I read a particular chapter, even a particular verse, there are invariably, it seems as if I'm going to catch something new almost every time. And this is true, of course, for individual reading, but sometimes we get to see trends that I didn't get to see them, but in this case, Pastor Greg Laurie got to see a trend that I had never noticed before, and maybe you might not think it's a big deal. I thought I was like, whoa, that's so true. We have the article. It's from Harbinger's Daily. We have it cross-posted over at jdrucker.com. Greg Laurie, being faithful in what God has set before you. And I remember when I read the title, it's like, oh, okay, it's going to be just a standard, devotional piece, but it wasn't. It actually opened my eyes. I'm going to read a little bit of it. Zechariah the priest was a faithful man. He was faithful in what God set before him. His job as a priest included serving in the temple in Jerusalem twice a year. It would have been an important occasion to leave his little country parish, go to the big city of Jerusalem, to the temple, and enter the Holy of Holies and offer a sacrifice on behalf of the people of God. This shows us that God often speaks to his people when they are busy doing their daily tasks. For example, when God called Moses to lead Israel out of Pharaoh's bondage, he was tending sheep. When God called David to run an errand that would result in the death of the mighty Goliath in the valley of Elah, he too was tending sheep. When Elijah was looking for a successor to carry on his ministry, he found him plowing a field. And when God called Gideon to deliver Israel from the tyranny of the Midianites, he was threshing wheat. When Jesus called his disciples to change the world, they were mending their nets. They simply were doing what was set before them. Some of us envision a great ministry for the Lord. We might have said, one day I would like to be a missionary and cross the ocean for Christ. On the other hand, God might say, would you mind crossing the street first and talking to your neighbor? The mission field is all around us. It's right outside our doors. God has given us spiritual gifts as Christians. When we come to Christ and ask God to empower us with the Holy Spirit, he gives gifts of the Spirit. Romans 12:6 tells us that in his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. And it reminded me, a lot of times I get this desire, I don't even call it a desire. It's more of a tickling in the back of my head, especially when, I get comments on X or whatever, various social sites. I'll say, this should happen, and somebody, there's always going to be some smart aleck or troll or whatever you want to call it, or maybe it's an inspiration, depends upon how you look at it, but they're always like, oh, if you want to do something about it, then run for office. And I have avoided, I told my wife long ago, like 3 decades ago, because she knew that I had certain political ambitions back then. I told her, look, I promise you this, I would never ever run for office while my children are still here with us. While the children are living with us, I would never put them through it, because it can be damaging, destructive, especially in school, especially amongst friends. You don't want to be a polarizing figure necessarily, not when there's other good people around. Okay, that was my thoughts at the time. Since then, my appetite for running for public office has diminished greatly, but I have still maintained that perspective that even if I get that hint in the back of my head that says, hey, maybe you should, I remind myself that I still have children living in the household. It seems as if my wife and I, we just have more children every decade. Got some adult children getting on in years, and we got we got a little one. It's just God keeps blessing us with all these kids, right? Point being is this: is that when I read what Greg Laurie had posted there, it reminds me that sometimes we don't have to just strive for something big, grandiose. We don't have to make plans to go out and change the world. Sometimes we just need to do what's there in front of us. We need to look around, be cognizant of what's happening in our little mini worlds, and see, is there an opportunity? Because there always is. And I'm convicted myself of not taking advantage of those opportunities to talk about Christ, opportunities to talk about what drives my faith and why I believe that perhaps faith can help this person or that person. And it doesn't have to just be your neighbors. It could be people that you talk to online. I got a note from a friend. It's funny because I've mentioned him before. Somebody that I hadn't spoken to in years. And somebody that a little over a decade ago, I had a very long conversation with him, trying to make him understand and appreciate the gospel. It was my one, essentially, it was my one long, hours long discussion with somebody where I was trying to open their eyes to the faith, where I was trying to spread the gospel, and I did a horrible job. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have not been satisfied with that, and it's kind of irked me ever since. Well, that person just happened to get in contact with me after I'd been speaking about him. He happened to get in contact with me a couple weeks ago via Facebook, which is funny because I never go to Facebook. I mean, like never. It's a running joke on my Facebook page. I post about once a month, sometimes once every 2 months, and just say, "Hey, I suck at Facebook because I don't like it." So, but just wanted to say hi and see if anybody needs anything, basically, because there are still people that I'm friends with from my past that's the only form of communication I have with them. It's unfortunate, but it's reality. We are presented with opportunities, I believe, every single day. Every day we're presented with opportunities. And it's not just about spreading the gospel, though that's that should be a primary intention. It's also about just helping. I mean, even if it's just helping a friend, or a neighbor with their groceries. We've grown so accustomed to not wanting to intrude. Many of us have, not all of us, but many of us have been grown so accustomed to not wanting to intrude. We don't want to, somebody's struggling. It's like a stranger, you see them struggling up the stairs with bags of groceries and a stroller. It's like, hey, you need some help there. That's the right thing to do. But I find that a lot of times people will ignore that. Or even if it gets something worse, something such as like you see a crime being committed. It disgusts me greatly when I see that the first reaction, generally speaking, when a crime is being committed is that people pull out their phone. I think to myself, what are they just trying to collect evidence for the police, or is it just out of some morbid curiosity and wanting to extend, I don't know, extend their social media reach? I don't even get it because it's never. I've been involved. I've had strange events, maybe not necessarily criminal, but I have had events that required attention, and I attended to them. Okay, whether car accident, for example, and no, watch them. Yeah, I'm not ripping on you if you're one of those guys, because apparently most people are like that. But it's really good, and I think it's important for us to always remain cognizant to be able to have opportunities to spread the gospel, to be able to have opportunities to help our fellow man. I'm so grateful to God. I pray that this is. I prayed before, and I pray that it will continue. That this trend, following the verdict for Daniel Penny, I hope that more Americans are willing to do what Daniel Penny did. I hope that this righteous verdict is able to resonate and tell people, hey, if you see something happening, do something about it. If you can, if you have the capabilities to stop a crime from being committed or to stop somebody who poses a threat to others, to prevent them from doing so, do it. Okay? And the big fear, and I think a lot of people had the fear that if they convicted Daniel Penny and sent him to jail for being a good Samaritan and trying to protect himself and the people on that subway, that it would have had a cooling effect on all of us. Maybe not you, definitely not me, but for other people who might be be, having the back of their mind that I don't want to risk going to jail by being a good Samaritan, so I'm just going to sit back and keep my head down. We don't need that. We need men of action, women of action too. We need to be willing to do what's necessary, and it doesn't just have to be about subduing a potentially violent man on a subway. It is about helping your neighbor up the stairs if they are struggling with groceries in a stroller. And yes, it's about spreading the gospel whenever the opportunity arises. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz is going to One American News. And a lot of people are questioning this. I'm not. So here's the thing. I get it. One American News is off of cable. They had their contract dispute with DirecTV or whoever. I don't know. I never watched TV anyway. But apparently, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is a step down. This is so disappointing. This is whatever. Matt Gaetz needs to be in the fight. He needs to be in the Trump administration. He needs this. He needs that. Look, bottom line, he can't be in the Trump administration. They've already demonstrated that. And I don't know whether that was Matt Gaetz and Trump getting together and playing some 4D chess. I've heard that rumor. I've heard that Matt Gaetz just wanted to get out of Congress and this was a way for him to get out. I've heard lots of different things. If it's true, if the rumors are true that Matt Gaetz is strongly considering a run for Florida governor, despite the fact that he said that he wasn't before, but if he is actually considering it this time, then this is the right move. And as far as whether it's One American News or Newsmax or Fox News or whoever, look, number one, Fox News, that would have been a bust. He wouldn't want to be in that controlled opposition at any point. Newsmax, on the other hand, is in the process currently of shifting to the center. Okay, and that might be unpopular for me to say for all of you Newsmax fans out there, but it is. I know they've got some I love a lot of the people at Newsmax, okay? Some of them not so much, but hey, that's a personal opinion. But I would argue that One American News is the right place for him. The only other place I would have seen him doing very well would be like the Tucker Carlson network, which I think that's just going to be Tucker Carlson in perpetuity. So I don't think that's going to be the case. One American News is a stepping stone, in my humble opinion. He's going to use this to stay in the public eye until 2026, when he would come out in probably late 2025 and say that he's going to run for Florida governor. And when that happens, it'll be awesome. And he'll continue his show until it's time to get really down and dirty with the campaign, and he'll get into campaign mode, and he will probably win the nomination, and almost certainly win the election if he wins the nomination. So, yeah, I see this as a good move, and it's good for One American News. They need another high-profile person filling their airwaves, and he's the right guy for that. So I know a lot of people are disappointed or questioning it. I'm not. I think this is a good move for everybody involved. I think that Matt Gaetz is going to be a phenomenal host, as well as his... Are we being invaded? Are there aliens or extra-dimensional creatures or demons or whoever flying around in drones over New Jersey and Philadelphia? No, they're not. But that doesn't mean that that whatever is happening isn't crazy. Article over at endoftheamericandream.com. Michael Snyder over there asks, are we being invaded? Mysterious drone clusters have been hovering over New Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia. He asks, why have a group of large, unidentified mystery drones been flying over New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania at night? Some of the mystery drones are the size of a car, but government officials seem to have no idea what they are or where they came from. Since this has been happening on a nightly basis since the middle of November, you would think that the most advanced military in the world would have been able to get a really good look at these mystery drones by now, but that hasn't happened, at least as far as we know. In fact, there have been unconfirmed reports that when our aircraft approach these mystery drones, they simply go dark and disappear. Honestly, I don't know what to make of all this. The more I dig into it, the weirder it gets. According to Fox News, the sightings originally began in Morris County, New Jersey. Mystery drones continue to be reported flying overhead in New Jersey as residents remain without answers as to why there have been so many drone sightings. The drones were reportedly first seen over Morris County, New Jersey in mid-November. Drones have since been observed regularly across the Garden State, including a recent uptick in Middlesex County and other areas in the state. One family in Morris County is actually claiming that the time on the clock in their vehicle actually changed as one of the drones hovered above them. A swarm of mystery drone sightings near President-elect Donald Trump's New Jersey Bedminster Golf Club continues to baffle local residents, with some now reporting strange changes to their clocks. As reported by Fox News, one family in Morris County who followed a drone in their car said that as the drone hovered above them, their car's clock changed time and only returned to normal as they drove off. Other eyewitnesses described the drones as being as big as small cars and incredibly loud, likening the cluster of drones to a parade. How can we explain this? At this stage, government officials are taking this phenomenon very seriously. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy is telling us that even the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has gotten involved in the investigation. If the drones belong to us, there would be no reason for the Department of Homeland Security to be looking into this. And I'm going to disagree right there. If this is Homeland Security or the military or DARPA or whoever, if it is in the government that's involved, of course the Department of Homeland Security would get involved. Of course, any local law enforcement, anybody who is aware of what's going on, if they're in an official capacity, and if this is some sort of conspiracy or crazy event or whatever, then yeah, they would get involved, just so that it wouldn't be so conspicuous that they weren't involved. But that's just my take. Back to the article. To me, the response by the feds definitely indicates that something is up. According to one law enforcement official in New Jersey, groups of drones have been spotted hovering over water reservoirs, electric transmission lines, rail stations, police departments, and military installations. If these drones are flying above very sensitive facilities, and if their behavior really is nefarious in nature, that should deeply alarm all of us. Are we being invaded? Or could it be possible that preparations are being made for some other sort of hostile action? 49 drone sightings were reported on Sunday alone. Footage of one of those sightings is being called the clearest video yet. Watch.
There they are. There they are. There they are. Oh. Marmora, New Jersey.
We shouldn't be outside.
Go! But here they are. They look like a fucking triangle. They look like a triangle.
Oh my god, here we go. Here it is. Are you freaking kidding me right now? What is that?
No way. And an F-16 just flew over. No way.
Okay, so yeah, that was pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy stuff. It does seem as if these aren't nothing. I'm not buying into the whole idea that these are aliens or anything like that, but there sure is something going on. According to the article, in addition to their nightly visits to New Jersey, groups of mystery drones have been seen over New York, and a group of mystery drones has also been spotted over the Philadelphia area. These drones are doing whatever they want over U.S. airspace, and it appears that our military can't do anything about it. What does that say about our military? Interestingly, the Pentagon has just unveiled a new counter-drone strategy. Hopefully, we will soon learn what these drones are and who is responsible for sending them, because the fact that unidentified aircraft are freely roaming our skies is simply not acceptable. Of course, there have been many other unidentified objects in our skies in recent years, and we have never gotten solid answers regarding those either. We are far more vulnerable than most people realize. If unauthorized drones can hover above New Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia without fear of getting intercepted, the same technology could potentially be used to deliver weapons of unimaginable destructive power when the time is right, or wrong in our case. Look, the reason that, and just to be clear, because I think a lot of times people are jumping to the aliens or extraterrestrials or whatever, jumping to those theories. The reason that I don't is because they are so easily visible. I mean, they're conspicuous. These whatever they are, these drones, as we're calling them, they want to be seen. They want to be found. I don't know if it's a prank. I don't think it is, though, because a prank isn't able to evade our military involvement. So to me, this does seem like it's something. Is it our government? Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it whoever? I don't know. but I'm not ready to jump on the idea that it's aliens. I would say the vast majority of my audience is very, very hopeful for the future. The election of President Trump has been just already, we're seeing shockwaves. We're already seeing results even at this early stage, but there are still concerns. He can't do everything. He's going to do everything in his vast power to protect us, to protect our nation, to defend the Constitution, to protect our freedoms. But that doesn't mean that there won't be risks, challenges. We're already seeing wars popping up and rumors of wars popping up across the globe. Will he be able to stop all of them? I think so. But what if he can't? What if, for whatever reason, cooler minds, cooler heads don't prevail and we find ourselves in the midst of something tragic? What about natural disasters? What about just the idiocy of the globalist regimes across this planet that are trying to do everything they can to destroy our food supply? They want to control the food, and they want to make sure that we're not eating the good stuff, especially as it pertains to protein, and specifically as it pertains to beef. Beef cows seem to be the main culprit for every boogeyman propagating bad guy out there. As a part owner of an all-American, patriotic, freeze-dried steak company, I am very, very blessed, pleased, and honored to be able to offer my wonderful audience an opportunity to take advantage. If you go to worldviewbeef.com and use promo code JDR, you will get the maximum possible discount. And there are other discount codes out there that are less. It's not like with certain companies where, it doesn't matter which promo code you use. Use JDR. I own the company. Use promo code JDR and get the maximum discount at any given moment at worldviewbeef.com. All American, no mRNA jabs. It's just the good stuff. So check it out, worldviewbeef.com. Last week I had the honor, the blessing, really, to speak to and to interview a good friend of mine, Neal McDonough. He's an actor. He's unabashedly Christian. And it's something, there's a lot of more Christian actors than I think people realize. But Neal is one of the very special ones in that he leads with it. Okay, he doesn't just mention it. Praise God, we were able to do this movie, and I did this, and I did that, and I did. No. He sticks with his faith. He leads with his faith. He ends with his faith, and he expresses his faith every moment in between. He's a true warrior for Christ, and working in the movies, he's working with Angel Studios quite often, multiple movies with Angel Studios, and they are quickly emerging as the predominant faith-driven studio in Hollywood. Some would say that they're transforming Hollywood in many ways, and I would not disagree with that. But I did get to speak to him at length, in good 30, 35-minute interview. So I'm going to go ahead and play that in its entirety, and then we'll talk about. I have one final topic to talk about after that, and that of course is Luigi Mangione. We'll get to that, but first, here's me and Neal McDonough and his wonderful wife, Ruve. It's been a long time since I've had somebody on the show who was in Hollywood. We've talked to multiple stars in Hollywood in the past, but this is the one that is the most exciting, and you can see him on the screen now. I'm not even going to try to throw out any surprises here. We've got Neal McDonough joining us. I'm so blessed, pleased, and honored to have you here, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing great, JD. Thank you for having me on the show. Much appreciated.
Well, it's funny because I had this young lady. I'm not going to say who, but I did have a young lady on, and they were telling me, I got the comments later. They're like, you needed to go more into detail about who she was because we had no idea. She was in like one movie, I think. And now she's fighting child sex trafficking, so good for her. But I don't think I need that with you. You have been and I'm just looking at your IMDb. Apparently you've been an actor in 148 different things over the years since 1993. Wow. Okay, just wow. How does it feel to be Mr. Hollywood the way that you are right now?
Well, it's interesting. It's been a fantastic long career, and to to be where I am now, to be able to produce and write and co-star and make films with my best friend, who's also my manager, who's also my agent, who's also my wife, it is something that has never really. It doesn't really happen in Hollywood. In Hollywood, they want to put you in a certain box. You're the comedian, or you're the dramatic guy, or you're the TV guy, you're the guy from that show. And I've been blessed that hasn't happened to me. I've been just known as a guy who's a really good actor and a good dude. And for I thank God for the gifts that he's given me, that I can play any character there is. In real life, I'm kind of a shy, more introverted type of person. Reve is definitely the more outgoing of the two of us. But when you put a camera in front of me, it's my comfortable spot. It's nothing exists except for the character, the thoughts that I have, and I can flick it on and off really, really well. And it's hard being a method actor, which is what I am. I draw from my emotional past and pull up stuff that most people wouldn't go. You have to go through psychoanalysis to kind of get over these things. I get to face them front and center, demons and angels alike, and make them come to fruition through the characters that I play. And movies, TV shows, documentaries, voiceovers, stage. I get to do it all, JD. And I don't know how. I don't look backwards. Everyone says, "What do you think about this part of your career?" I'm not a rear view mirror guy in my car. I'm always looking forward as to what's the next thing. I never even really watch any of the things that I've been in. The only thing I've watched, there's two things that I had to watch. Last Rodeo, which we'll talk about in a minute. And my wife, Reve, made me sit down and watch Tulsa King. I still haven't seen Yellowstone. I've never seen Damien Dark. I've never seen any of the shows I did with all the. I don't watch really anything. I've watched Band of Brothers since it came out, and I don't think I've actually watched all of Band of Brothers. It was just too emotional. So for me, when I watch myself on screen, I go back to exactly the emotional turmoil that my character was going through at the time, and it's hard. It's emotional to watch. But watching Tulsa King opposite Stallone, and how much fun you could see me having, it was an awesome treat. He's incredible.
He is. You've worked with some of the most amazing people, and Sly Stallone is just one of them. You mentioned producing, you mentioned acting, and you actually mentioned the movie itself, The Last Rodeo. This is more than just a passion project. You are living it, and quite literally right now, I could tell by your outfit, this is something that's important to you. Tell me about this upcoming movie that you guys are directly involved with.
Well, Reve and I started, I guess it was probably almost 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. The first Western that we did, I did a Western called Tin Man. It was The Wizard of Oz for Sci-Fi Network. And I played the Tin Man, who was this sheriff from the late 1800s. That's basically who he was. And there was something about that character, that all-American character, that I hadn't had the chance to play because, as everyone knows, I won't do intimate scenes. I won't do kissing scenes and such. So I'm always having to play the villain. And so I made a decision 20 years ago. I was going to be the best darn villain out there because I knew we were going to have a bunch of kids. I didn't realize we were going to have 5 kids. But I had to be the best at that. And when I did Tin Man, something went off in my head. It was kind of like Buck Compton from Band of Brothers. There's something about me playing those all-American guys that have their hearts on their sleeves and are tough as nails. And I'm basically playing the guys that I grew up with, my dad, my uncles, all these tough Irish guys who were as tough as nails, but underneath it, there were these teddy bears of great emotion and honesty and truth and beauty. And I love that kind of character. And then when we did The Warrant, the first Western that we produced a couple of years back, that's when it really hit me. This is the world I need to be in. And I love, as a kid, I was always riding horses with my dad. So it was kind of a natural progression. And so now, you go through my wardrobe in my house, my kids laugh at me and say, "Dad, do you have anything else but jeans and jean shirts?" But it's what I'm most comfortable in. And now we've done The Warrant 2, Posse, Homestead coming out in a couple of weeks, The Last Rodeo. I'm missing another, Tulsa King, Yellowstone. They're all Western themed characters. Some of them purely evil, some of them purely all-American. And I love playing them both. And it's a really great time in my life. God has given me so many amazing blessings. And the last thing I want to do is let him down and not use the talents that he has given me to the best of my ability. So I don't let like letting audiences down. I work hard to make sure that everyone's entertained in every choice that I make as an actor. And now with Homestead coming out, I think everyone's going to really enjoy the what ifs of Homestead. And then, of course, our baby, The Last Rodeo, coming out Memorial Day opposite my good friend Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible. I don't think we're going to beat him, but I think we're going to take it. I think we're going to take a dent out of his business.
Nice. Well, you worked with Tom Cruise in Minority Report, so
That's right.
so yeah. Who knows? Hey, don't count it out. The last one underperformed. Okay?
That's right.
The last one didn't do as well as they thought.
Look,
So we'll see.
JD, everyone loves an all-American Rocky type of story, and this is Last Rodeo is Rocky on a Bull. It's about an aging rodeo megastar whose wife died of brain cancer 15 years ago. And ever since then, his life has just been awful. And he broke his back. He went back to ride right after his wife died, drunk, broke his back, and his life has just been tragic ever since. But he has a grandson, and his grandson, who is the love of his life, has the exact same brain tumor that his wife had. So he's got no money. He can't afford it. So how's he going to pay for it? He decides he's going to go back and ride the rodeo competition one more time for the championship. Because once you win the green jacket once, you're always invited back. And no one does that at in their 50s. And it's Rocky on a Bull. And I'm so proud of it that Reve and I got to build this together. And now watching our baby start to walk and crawl, and I can't wait for her to run. So it's pretty awesome.
That is absolutely amazing. I am definitely going to watch that. Tom Cruise can wait for the following weekend. That's The Last Rodeo. And when does it come out?
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
Angel Studios, when they saw the film, before they saw the film, they had, okay, we're going to come out in March. And then when they saw the film, he goes, maybe we'll come out in May. And then the rodeo finals are in mid-May. And they said, no, this is good enough. We're going to come out and we're going to go up against the big boys on Memorial Day weekend. And at first I was nervous as heck. I'm like, oh my gosh, this Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible coming out. How are we going to compete against them? And they said, it's simple as this. You made a great film. Great films always succeed no matter where they come out. Mm-hmm. But that weekend, I think it's going to be a magical weekend for The Last Rodeo. And I can't wait. And tonight here in Vegas, we're releasing the 15-second teaser, the world premiere of the teaser tonight at the rodeo. So we're so excited to watch this tonight. John Avnet, who directed it, was just, he's the maestro. He's unbelievable. What he did is, from Fried Green Tomatoes to all the movies that he's done, he pulled out all of his tricks and made this one of the most incredible films that I've seen, and I'm so honored to be part of it. Nice.
And I do love Fried Green Tomatoes, both the food and the movie.
That's right.
Good stuff there. You are one of the... No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please, JD, go.
I was going to say, you're one of the very rare. You're working with Angel Studios quite often. Angel Studios has come out and they've done their thing. They've really left a mark on Hollywood and demonstrated that you can have success even if you are unabashedly faith-driven. And that's something that I think is amazing. You yourself, you have no qualms about it whatsoever. Praise God, because we know our Creator, we know our Lord and Savior, and we're not ashamed of it by any means. We will speak it out loud. But being in Hollywood, that's not always as easy. I mean, do you have is there like some secret Christian support group, or I mean, how do you survive in Hollywood as a Christian?
I'm kind of a lone wolf, as Reve puts. I'm all about faith and family and film. Those are things that they get me going. In our house, it's God first, me second, family first, me second. And those are the tenets that we live by as a family. I know, JD, as a Christian that you are, I'm sure you feel exactly the same way.
Yes.
So to say there's a secret sauce or anything, look, I got crucified 10, 12 years ago when I wouldn't do an intimate scene. And then I didn't work for 2 years and I lost everything. So it's hard to cancel somebody twice. But for me, it's not, one of the biggest things that changed my life was my second greatest decision that I ever made. And that was giving up alcohol. And that was just after all the hell that I went through with that show. And it was brutal. It was thoughts that went through my head back then were thoughts that I don't think anybody would want to have. And, failure, and how as a man having 5 kids and you can't provide for them, and your house is taken away and your cars are taken away and everything is taken away, your image, your reputation, all those things. And then I just buried myself in more alcohol. And then the day that I finally decided that I wasn't going to drink anymore, I just turned that switch off. And I never went to AA meetings, and God bless anyone who goes to AA meetings. I think it's an amazing, wonderful thing. I'm much more of a get through it myself type of guy. And I've always said I can get through life with one hand tied behind my back as long as the other hand is being held by Reve. And we got through it together. And to do that is just, that's my greatest achievement, other than marrying Reve and convincing her to marry me. My greatest achievement was giving up alcohol, because it wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for anything. Now, take the last 9 years of my career since I gave up alcohol. Reve and I are about to produce our 10th project together in a very short amount of time. And I promised God that I would give my best efforts to make everything that I do, that we produce and that we write. I can't say Tulsa King, I can't say Yellowstone or any of these shows, because I'm really a gun for hire. But when I have the McDonough Company thumbprint on something, it's going to give glory to him. And that just makes me feel so great. And it's crazy, JD. Here I am in Vegas right now. We were at the MMA event last night, and I gave away the award for the Fighter of the Year. And tonight we're releasing the 15-second trailer for the last rodeo. But walking around the casinos in Vegas, it isn't people going crazy, not because just of Tulsa King or Yellowstone or any other movies. 85-90% of the people come up to you because thank you for being a man of faith, and thank you for making projects to give glory to him. In Vegas, JD. So it's not like I'm trying to go out of my way to be a certain thing. Look, we're all sinners. We all make mistakes. We're all dummies at times. That's part of being human. And that's why when we realize how much God loves us and he keeps loving us no matter what, we forget about him sometimes, but he never forgets about us. And if you give over to that, you don't trip up by the temptations of life that we're all tripped up by at times. I get tripped up, everyone gets tripped up, but you're a lot stronger in your choices when you realize God's got your back. You don't need that thing. So that's been paramount in my life, that I've just been more focused ever since I gave up alcohol, ever since Reve kind of shook me a little bit and said, you're better than this. You can go a whole lot higher than just being a gun for hire. You can go. And that's what we've done. And again, I don't like looking backwards, but I sure am looking forward to the future, and Homestead coming out, and Last Rodeo, and all these other projects that we have. This Western that we just wrote, it's Cain and Abel in the West, and it's just viciously awesome. So I'm in a spot that most people dream of. I get to do all these things with my wife.
That's awesome. That is amazing. And Reve is such a lovely person. We've spoken before. I got to meet her via Zoom recently, right. and you could tell. I mean, you all are partners. You're not just husband and wife, but I think brother and sister in Christ. That makes it even more special, because so many people that I talk to so many times, they just don't know exactly what it is that they're supposed to do. They feel lost. Even if maybe they find success, maybe they don't find success, they're still trekking through in a way that is, let's just call it what it is, in a way that's ungodly.
Yeah.
But we do have opportunities put before us. One of the things the reason that you and I are able to even meet is through our mutual friend, Jonathan Rose. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan has, he is the CEO of Genesis Gold Group. And what he's been able to do there,
incredible.
It is absolutely incredible. And it's funny because I'm sitting here, I've built a personal relationship with Jonathan over the years, and I consider him to be one of my best friends in the world, on top of also being the owner of a faith-driven precious metals company. But then he tells me, oh yeah, he asked me this been a couple months ago, he's like, have you ever heard of an actor named Neal McDonough? I'm like, what? I remember I surprised him. I said, that's Lieutenant Hawk on Star Trek. He turned into a Borg. And Jonathan's like, what are you talking about?
Hold on.
Oh, you got the Star Trek socks.
Star Trek socks.
It.
Lieutenant Hawk was the dude.
He was the dude. And it's funny. It's like, okay. And it was unexpected. For those who haven't seen the movie, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. You got this brand new bridge member. It's like, oh my gosh, we got a new character on the bridge. And then it was one of the scariest times the scariest things I've ever seen in a Star Trek movie when you got turned. And I'm not gonna go into any details
So
about
good.
that.
It was so good.
But that was
But when you
it
really
was by
when you
far
really
the
think about it,
best of their movies. To be
well,
clear,
you think about it, and I tell John Frakes all the time. It's like, dude, I was a Borgified, but I'm floating around in space. I certainly would have assimilated to something. There's got to be a way to bring Lieutenant Hawk back. I think it would just be a lot of fun. I miss. It was a great character.
Oh, you should.
But
I mean,
back
you got
to
the Picard
Genesis.
series out.
Oh, it was exactly. The Hawk should have a Hawk series. Let's not kid ourselves.
You should.
Going back to Jonathan and Genesis, Reve and I have been asked to be part of lots of different companies to be spokespeople, and we're always like, no. I'm not a salesman. I'm an actor. I love acting, and I love my relationship with God. Those are very important things to me. And he said, Jonathan came to me and goes, well, I have a gold company. I'd be very interested in you kind of being a pitchman for him. I'm like, I'm not so sure. And he goes, but it's a faith-based company. I'm like, you're a faith-based company dealing with a monetary value. How do you do that? And he broke it down to me. And I was just shocked at the decency of just the idea of what they do at Genesis Gold. And I'm so proud to be part of this company talking about how you can make money, how you can do things the right way, how you can have faith, and how you can be a straight shooting, upfront, honest approach to everything. And that's what Jonathan is. And for Reve and I to be part of it, now we've become great friends with him and Tiffany, and their kids go to school with our kids. And it was kind of a natural progression. And be careful what you wish for in life. And when they come to fruition, realize it has nothing to do with you. It is all to do with what he wants for you. And I've been put in this enviable position now in my life that I get to star in TV shows and movies. I get to produce these along with my wife. And then we get to be part of these incredible companies like Genesis Gold that are driven by faith. It was a decision that I made years ago that I'm going to really drive up the faith in my life. And it has, I can't tell you how profitable it's been is on one side. And that's the low end side of it. But how amazing it's been to fulfill my heart and my soul with the words from other people saying, thank you for being that kind of guy. And it's just, again, I don't want to let anybody down. I want to keep working hard and doing the right stuff and preaching his word that we're all in this together. If we all root for each other, we won't worry about red states or blue states or this or that or anything else. We're all God's children. If we all just rooted for each other like true brothers and sisters are supposed to do, JD, you and I are brothers. That's who we are. We've never met in person, but we're brothers through Christ. So why wouldn't I root for you? Why wouldn't you root for me? And if that's the theme of life, like Genesis Gold professes it to be, it's a win-win for everyone. So I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing wrong with financial stewardship.
No,
you cannot let people say, but they say that money is the root of all evils. And no. The Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evils. That doesn't mean that you should be, okay, well, I guess that money is worthless. So I'm just going to go to Vegas and blow it all and then become homeless. And that's the way that I'm going to find my faith. That actually could work for some people, to be clear. But
like Charlie Chaplin said, if I'm going to be depressed, I'd rather be depressed sitting in the back of my Rolls Royce.
Right.
I'm not sure that's the right thing, but but it's pretty funny.
No,
give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but it's okay to have money.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I have one kid. You have 5 kids.
That's what you.
How do you? That's incredible.
It's kind of like being an FBI agent. You're always kind of monitoring them and making sure everyone's safe.
Makes good sense. I'm actually a real agent. I'm not an agent. I'm actually a deputy sheriff.
Are you really?
Right there. Many, many years.
Are you serious?
For real life.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you're a sheriff.
Yep.
Played at Princeton. Pro football player. Greatest superhero of all time.
Never drafted to Major League Baseball like you with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Thank you very much.
Knuckleballer. How do you hit a knuckleball?
You don't.
You don't?
You don't.
That's the whole point.
That's the beauty of it. We may have always played on different sides, being the superhero or the supervillain. But we have a lot more in common than I thought that we did.
Which is shocking, because one thing's for sure. Genesis Gold Group is a company that we both trust. They make safeguarding your IRA or your 401k as simple as possible. And I need simple,
That's right.
I'll be honest.
And with their stellar reputation, they're as solid as the gold that they sell.
Like this gold right here. So call Genesis Gold Group today at 1-800-200-GOLD.
What is that?
This is what they call a prepper bar. So like you can break off these little pieces. Oh, it's on both sides.
And it's great because you can carry that around small. And
Oh yeah,
it's
and
not
you can literally use it to spend.
It's not like this
Think
one.
that- What?
This is a big fella. This is a really great one.
Is that real?
This is a real one. You want to hold it? It's heavy.
Holy smokes!
That's pretty great. Yeah, you can get one of those from Genesis Gold yourself.
Hey, you guys see this? Look, check
Dean,
this out.
Dean, that's my kid's college tuition money. Hold on, I'll be back. Dean!
Who's the supervillain now, huh?
Yeah, that's my goal, Dean!
So yes, you and I, we obviously share a passion for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We obviously share a friendship with Jonathan Rose, who I consider to be one of the only truly honest people in the precious metals business. We obviously share an affiliation with Genesis Gold Group. But there's another thing. There's another connection that you don't know about. Okay, I'm springing this on you now. My dream, and I've mentioned this on my show, you can go back to my past shows. My dream, if I had $1 billion, okay, I would build a compound in like Montana or someplace, okay, and I would have tons of food, tons of agriculture, livestock, and I would make it into basically a fortress, and I would hire some good people to come and defend it, especially if there was ever going to be like, I don't know, like an invasion or an apocalypse or something like that. And so, and I've mentioned this before on my show, and then I see this trailer for this movie called Homestead, and it's like, oh my gosh, I know that guy, and I want to be what he's doing. But wait a second, this looks like it's going to get dark, and this could actually be a really crazy good movie. Tell me about Homestead.
Homestead, again, through the amazing Angel Studios. They asked Reve and I to come on and help executive produce it almost 2 years ago now, year and a half ago. And it was just one of those stories of, I'm this kind of Richard Branson character who has thousands of acres, food that would last a couple of years, livestock, everything. And the Armageddon happens, atomic bomb goes off, and what happens? Everything is just chaos in the United States. I hire this military team to protect my assets, to protect my family, most importantly. What happens to a Christian guy when he has these gates and his friends are at the gates trying to get in, asking for a cup of sugar? And the military guys are ready to shoot them all and take them out. And there's, what do I do? And it's interesting what you would do in the mind of a Christian guy. How do you deal with this? And it's how we would all deal with it. If anything ever did happen, those to-go bags or go bags that they call them, they're pretty important to have at your house, just in case something does happen. And at some point, who knows? This world is getting crazier and crazier and crazier. So to do a film that really kind of talks about that, the what ifs, for me as an actor, I love that stuff. I love, drawing from my emotional self and bringing to fruition ideas that I never really would have thought of before. But when you think of that kind of situation, what will you do to protect your family? What will you do to protect your kids when there are people coming at you, immediately coming at you with guns and everything else? It's a pretty riveting performance for everyone in it is fantastic, but the film is pretty awesome. And we're very, very proud to be part of it and help produce the film.
2 more questions. I want to give you enough time to answer these. What's coming down the line, something that I can't find on your eye, break some news for me. Something that maybe a passion project that you got in the works. Maybe like I don't know, you're gonna be a granddad, or give me something juicy. What do you guys have coming down the line in the McDonough household or family or career or company or whatever?
Well, there's so much going on. Our kids are growing up so fast. They're off to colleges now. It's a couple of them, and it's strange having less chaos in our house because we just love the chaos. This last weekend, our son Morgan came back from college with 4 of his teammates, and our house was just mattresses and empty Chick-fil-A everywhere. It was just awesome, and we missed it so much. But I'm such a down home family guy that I don't really do a lot, other than just being with the family. But there's two things that I would love to actually do, and you're doing it right now, JD. I would love to start. Everyone. I love talking about messages and talking about what is positive in life and how you can get through certain situations, how you can overcome alcohol, how you can have a better communication with God, with your wife, with your kids, with family. So we tried a podcast 2 years ago, and I just didn't love it, and I was always traveling, and so I could never really get it. But there's something to a McDonough family YouTube type of channel where you're seeing what it's like being the McDonough kids, seeing what it's like them walking around and with the parents that they have and the success that we've built and the goodness that we share with everyone. And our kids see it. Our kids see that mom and dad take time to talk to people and talk about life and talk about God and relationships, and just trying to be as down to earth as possible in our messaging. And something on a YouTube station, I think would be great, just to be able to, I don't know, have a Q&As with people and say, hey, if you got a problem, shoot it at us. Reve is amazing at talking to people about, situations in marriage, talking about how you can be a better this or a better that. And between the two of us, we're very positive, driven people, having gone through torture at some point together, where that would have broken up just about any marriage. But we knew that we were being tested for a reason, and we got through that test. Will there be more tests? Of course there will. That's part of life. If you ask God for courage, He's going to put you in situations where you have to build courage and be courageous. Most people will fold, and they can't take those types of things. And boy, at one point I was ready to just hand my cards in and say, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. And it was really hard. But if I didn't have Reve and rekindle my relationship with God, I wouldn't be sitting here with you, JD, talking about the 10th film that we're about to produce together and how our kids are doing so well at school and everything else. So yeah, something like a YouTube station, I think would just be kind of fun.
Well, let's do it. I'll put it together for you. Are you talking about doing it with just you or both of you?
Oh, the whole McDonough clan.
Oh, nice. Is Ruve there? Can you bring her on screen? There she is. Hi,
Hair and
Ruve.
makeup. Sorry. Hi.
No. This is not Fox News or anything like that.
This is better. This is the JD Rucker Show.
This is the JD Rucker Show.
Yeah.
I'm in my my jacket and shirt, but I'm not actually wearing any pants.
I was going to say, do you have pants on? I didn't think you did.
Touche.
No, we're good.
Oh
We're all good. So yeah, that would be great if you guys do want to do a show. Number one, I want to get you on this show on
Come
my
on,
show
Mr. Rose.
constantly. Is Jonathan there too?
Rosie just walked in.
He was interrupting and putting on earpods, and we kept losing you, and I kept giving him the finger.
Reintroducing the wonderful Jonathan Rose. Give it up, everybody.
Oh my God! What about Sly Stallone? Is Sylvester Stallone there?
What do you want? No, did you hear him? He's right there.
He's shy.
He's shy. Not Sly.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, no, we definitely need to get you all on my show as often as possible. But yeah, I would love to help you guys get your own show going, and even potentially do something crazy. Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to leave it open-ended for you. Okay. So I'm going to list off some people. I'm going to just go down your IMDb, people that everybody has heard of, and I want you to stop me when you want to say something good about them, something bad about them, or something that nobody's ever heard about them. I would love to know, for example, that Kevin Costner, he actually does just shoot guns and that you didn't have to act very much during
if he doesn't
there.
answer, does he have to eat a chili or something?
That's right. It's a hot sauce.
We just did a show called Jolie Live where you had to eat a sour candy if you didn't want to answer.
Great show, but it was awful.
And Neil went on with our kids, and he was
had a bad stomach ache.
Yes, Samuel.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
Yes,
My tongue was just.
So if you don't want to answer,
Kevin Costner, best Kevin Costner story. Our first movie we did together was called The Guardian, and we're both college baseball players. And there was a batting cage. We were shooting at LSU, and there was batting cages there. And the two of us would forego our lunch every day and just go to the batting cages and hit balls for half an hour together and just talk about life. And that's when I fell in love with Kevin Costner, who is not just pound for pound the greatest screen actor I know, because he understands the camera so darn well. He understands pace. He understands so much, but one of the greatest human beings that I've ever had the opportunity to be around with. And that's one guy that he and Sly are two guys that they're so great at their craft, but they're awesome dudes off camera. And that's generally not the case. And I want to be just like Kevin and Sly, because they put their work, right up front. They're big family guys. Sly's got his family on set all the time. And it's great to see that. And I'm the same way. Reve and the kids are always around our sets, always. Reve acting in them now, or producing and raising the financing. The kids will make them work this craft service, the stunt department, wiping down pads, doing stuff. And it's a family business. And we're so stinking proud of the family business at the McDonough Company. It's just been great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Now our biggest starlet coming up is a 10-year-old girl. Her name's Scarlett Rose. I'm not sure if you know of her. We're going to make her into a big movie star because she's got moxie. She's awesome.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I didn't know he played college, but I knew you were a pitcher, right?
He played. I think he played at Fullerton. I think.
Oh, okay, nice.
Northridge or Fullerton. Yeah, great ball player.
So you throw knuckleballs and he'd miss them.
That's right. No, I didn't throw at Kevin. It was his batting cage work, but that would be a lot of fun. I have to admit. Nice.
Well, it's funny. I could go down the list. I mean, you've worked with some very talented people. You've worked with some good people, some bad people. I want to save those. So what we'll do is because again, I'm serious. I really want to have you on like every day, but I won't be able to. So we'll shoot for like once a week or once a month or somewhere in between. You probably got a busy schedule. I'll call your agent, Ruve, and
that's right.
she'll get you on the calendar.
In Hollywood, they always say it's good to sleep with the producer, or sleep with a manager, or sleep with an agent. I'm sleeping with all in one. That's right. It's so good.
Sleeping in the same bed.
Sleeping in the same bed with my agent. Wow. What? That's my wife, guys.
That's my wife, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter.
That's right.
What are you thinking there?
That's right.
Yeah, we'll do it. Well, because I'm just looking up. I know all these movies. I actually came out to Hollywood. Quick story. I came out to California. I took a job out here, 20 years ago, because I wanted the opportunity to pitch. I'm a writer, so I wanted the opportunity to pitch my screenplay. And I learned very quickly that, you know what, a Christian conservative screenplay, at least even back 20 years ago, not an easy sell in Hollywood. Maybe I need to talk to your buddies over at Angel.
That's right.
We'll see. But yeah, so let's do this as often as possible, because you are a blast. And I know that my audience, very Christian conservative audience, they watch your movies, they watch what you do, and they love the fact that you're not afraid to discuss your faith. You're not afraid to discuss your past, but you are always looking forward, and praise God for that, because that's what we as Americans, we as humans need to be doing. We can't just be stuck in depression or focused on advancing our sins. We have to focus on honoring him and advancing our lives as best we can. So praise God for you, my friend. You and Ruve and Jonathan too. I know he's probably still there.
That's right.
God bless you all. When can you come on next? Next week, Ruve? We good?
You want to run through a couple names quick before we leave?
Oh, no. Well, the funny part was, it's like you nailed it on the first one. Let me see if I can. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I can pick a good one.
I'll make them quick answers. We'll make it like a speed round.
All right. Okay, I'm down.
We'll do pick 10 people. I'll answer them all under 1 minute, and go.
All right, we already got Sly.
Tick 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 tick
There we
tick
go.
tick tick tick.
Yeah, you already got. Well, what about Tom Cruise?
Most generous guy ever. Would be sitting there with dinner with the whole cast and crew out at a restaurant one night. We were there, and he would just unannounced just pay for the whole dinner. Tom's incredible.
See, I don't want to go. No, I'm saving these. We're not doing any more, because you've already given me 3 people, and those are 3 of the biggest stars in Hollywood. I could go down this list and pick out a dozen more. Let's do a little bit every week, or however often you can come on the show.
Perfect.
Because I definitely want to find out about some of these people.
I'm sure you do.
And you mentioned Jonathan Frakes. My personal acting. I guess you could say my hero in acting is Patrick Stewart. So we'll talk about him next week.
All right, well, I'll tell you one last story about Patrick Stewart. So here I am. Please. when I got the role of Lieutenant Hawk in First Contact. I said, well, since I'm flying the ship, my first day of work is Monday. Can I come to the set early? And they said, sure. How early? Like 15, 20 minutes early? I'm like, no, like 3 hours. I want to sit on the flight deck, and I want to really feel like I'm flying the Enterprise. And they're like, whatever. Okay, there'll be janitors there. I'm like, that's a problem. So I get in there, and for the first like hour and a half, I am Shatner, I am Spock, I'm Bones, I'm working up a lather, and then finally I get to the next generation, and now I'm Patrick Stewart, and I'm just saying, "Be me, I get number one," and this, and I'm going off, and all of a sudden I hear from behind me, "You must be Lieutenant Hawk." And it was Patrick Stewart, who was there for 20 minutes listening to me do Patrick Stewart. It was the most, I turned maroon. I was so embarrassed. And we became great friends after that. And every single day on set, he took it upon himself to pick on me. And it was just awesome.
Wow. And can you do an impersonation of his weather voice, like weathered leather, as they used to say? It's crazy.
What'd you get there? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Look at that dark hair. So
you
good.
were you and it's the eyes. All I got to do is say I was telling my wife, she's like, Neal McDonough. It's like, yeah, remember the one with the eyes. She's like, oh yeah, I remember him.
Oh, the jerk on TV. Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah. No.
Not anymore. That tide has changed. Now that we're getting to play the heroes, it's
now you are playing.
It's
the
a whole
heroes.
nother chapter, and I'm loving it. And I get to do
Memorial Day 2025. We've got the last rodeo, and you've got, when does Homestead? Homestead is coming out like right now, isn't it?
And on the 20th, December 20th.
All right, so
buy your tickets, folks. Go see the film. You got to trust us in this one. It won't let you down. It makes you really think about what's really important to you in life.
Yeah. It will be good to see Neal playing a Branson type character, but with Christian values and a whole lot of guns around you. So
that's right. Exactly.
Can't wait to see that. All right, Neal, pleasure as always.
Thank you, JD.
We'll get you back on the show very soon. God bless you, my friend, and God bless you,
right
Ruve.
back.
You all are awesome.
Thank you, JD.
Thanks, JD. We'll see you soon, pal. See you tomorrow. That's right. Yeah. We'll see you for breakfast. I'll bring the coffee.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
It really is amazing talking to Neal and Ruve. They are such a lovely couple. Okay, let's take away the fact that she's a producer and his agent and everything else in Hollywood. Let's take away the fact that he is a producer and a writer and an actor. Let's take their fame out of the equation. They're just legitimately awesome people. Okay, so I'm going to really try to get them to commit to doing as many of these interviews as possible. We'll shoot for at least once a month, because we'll just even going down the list of all the people that he's worked with, experiences that he's had with other people in Hollywood. That alone should be enough. But then his stories, just of his own personal experiences, and perhaps most importantly, his journey, his faithful journey that he's experienced throughout his life. Those are topics that I think would be of great interest to y'all, my audience. So let's get to the crazy story of the day. It is kind of funny, I think, that really, as far as considering everything that's happening, considering all that's at stake with the murder, the assassination of Brian Thompson, a CEO of a huge, gigantic company, considering everything that we know and that we're learning every minute, it seems, about Luigi Mangione, the guy who allegedly committed the murder, and it seems everything's pointing towards him. You would think that there would be a lot more conspiracy theories floating around, but I'll admit there weren't nearly as many as I thought. Okay, I track them down. I go to all the sites, all the conspiracy theory areas, and I'm looking for whatever they're talking about. And it's conspicuous that they're not talking about much. You have, on one hand, you have some people that are saying, "Oh, it's all MK Ultra," and that might be the case. So other people are saying, "Oh, it's definitely not him. He's a patsy. He's a scapegoat. He's not the real killer because of this, that, or the other." I'm not buying into that part nearly as much. I mean, it seems as if he's likely the guy. But here's the thing, and I'm going to go ahead and do this in reverse. I'm not going to paint the conspiracy necessarily up front. I'm going to look at the situation and hopefully bring you around to understanding why I believe that this is definitely manufactured. Again, I'm not suggesting that Luigi Mangione is not the assassin. Okay, we're not going. I'm not even going to entertain that thought because it does appear that he is. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that I'm 100% certain either. To be clear, I'm not. I would say there's probably about a 99% chance, though. But we will allow for some chance that he is not the real guy. But I think he is, and I think that he is for a reason. I think that he was pushed into this, whether he knows it or not. We can get into mind control, psychedelics. We can get into all this other stuff. But I'll explain why it's important that he was used. But first, let's go ahead and start talking about the peculiarities of the case. Most peculiar thing to me is that, well, not the most peculiar. We'll start off with the part that is, I guess you could say, goes against the idea that this is a conspiracy. And that's the fact that this is all very, very, very neat. I mean, it's just custom made for consumption and for driving the idea that here's a kid, wicked smart, super brilliant, Ivy League, cum laude this, cum laude that, right? But he was indoctrinated. Oh, his manifesto mentions Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. His manifesto talks about the evils of capitalism, the evils of big pharma or insurance or healthcare in general. The system's broken and he's got to fix it. Okay? That makes sense. Then there's the question of, well, how did he get to the point that he's going to craft this plan to actually commit murder, to assassinate? And then, but he had an accident. He was a surfer. Apparently, he had a surfing accident, broke his back. He's got all this gruesome X-rays of these pins. I mean, it's painful to look at the image, let alone to have those actual pieces of, I assume, metal, maybe plastic, who knows, but something screwed into his back in like 4 different spots. It looks painful. And then we hear the stories that he was in extreme pain. He was seeking remedies. He was even getting involved in psychedelics. Oh, once you start saying, oh, he was into psychedelics, now you've given not just corporate media, but even alternative media, fringe media, conspiracy theorists are all like, oh yeah, this is it makes sense that he went crazy and committed these murders, that he acted upon this brainwashing, this indoctrination that he's put himself through. He's Ivy League guy, going against a system that he hates. Both of his grandparents died. Ooh, grandparents dying. I know I'm making light of this. I'm sounding skeptical, but everything I've stated so far has been pretty accurate, right? He detached from his family. They were looking for him. They were sending messages. His friends were looking for him. Everybody was concerned about him. So, the picture of Luigi Mangione as a guy that was fine, and then he cracked, and then he killed. Okay? That picture is an easy one to paint based upon everything we know so far. So then you look at, well, he had to flirt, and so he had his full face was visible in one of the pictures. Okay, then we have other pictures. We've got the videos. We got this. We got evidence. Oh, they found a backpack. They found all this stuff, and you start hearing reports that we believe the NYPD believes that he has left the city. Found this evidence in Central Park, found this, he escaped on a bike, then he was on a cab, then he was on a bus. Okay. Again, a very convenient narrative that fits very neatly into what you and I, can accept. He goes to McDonald's. This is where it gets a little bit weird. He goes to a McDonald's. Here, the most sought-after man in America at the time, whose face has been on every news website and on every television in America. And he thinks, hey, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I'm going to eat at McDonald's. I'm just going to, keep my head down, rush in, grab the bag, and go hide somewhere in a someplace else. No, I'm going to allow myself to be visible. I'm going to carry a bag, and in this bag is the murder weapon and a manifesto. So now we start getting this idea that, hey, okay, so not only did he crack and commit these murders, but now the narrative is he was either wanting to get caught or was expecting to get caught. Otherwise, why would he have all the evidence to convict him with him while he's eating hash browns at McDonald's? Makes sense, right? It's all very neat. But then it gets a little bit murkier. Then we hear that he, given that he had this, what is apparently a Faraday bag filled with the murder weapon, a suppressor, passports, fake IDs, manifesto. In the manifesto, he's claiming that, hey, I had to do it, had to be done. And, oh, by the way, to prevent any lengthy investigations, I worked alone. It's awfully courteous of him to tell investigators that he worked alone. But he didn't deny any of those things. Well, he sort of denied the Faraday bag. Not deny it, but he just said it was a waterproof bag. He's not sure about if that demonstrated sophistication in his planning, as the police were suggesting. Law enforcement was suggesting that because he had everything in a Faraday bag, which would cut off the ability to track, say, cell phones, because he had everything in a Faraday bag, that demonstrates sophistication. He's like, I don't know about sophistication. It was a waterproof bag. So it seems like maybe he had a Faraday bag and he didn't realize it was a Faraday bag. He thought it was just waterproof. I don't know. Not sure what that suggests. But the thing that he did take a great offense to was the notion that he had $10,000, $8,000 in U.S. dollars, $2,000 in foreign currency. He didn't agree. He thinks that was planted. Okay, now all of a sudden, whoa, wait a second. You're telling me that he either he claims, either he's lying, and if he's going to lie about anything, why would he lie about that one? Because that's not going to be used that's not a major, huge piece of evidence that he's the killer. It's useful to prevent him from being granted bail, which he was, but I think he probably would have been denied bail anyway, considering the gravity of the situation and just even having the passports. He didn't deny the passport. Having the passport present, yeah, I'm not buying that. So he denies that. So either he's crazy, which a lot of people think he is. That's the prevailing narrative. Or he's stupid, which nobody thinks he is. Or he's correct that $10,000 was planted for some reason. Again, maybe to ensure that he wasn't going to get bail, maybe to add some intrigue. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's a tough one. But it is conspicuous that of all the things to deny, why would he deny that one? And then why, if he wanted to get caught or was expecting to get caught, he brought the manifesto with him, and yet he says this. Watch.
It's completely out of touch. And it insults the intelligence of the American people and its lived experience.
Now that to me does not sound like a guy who is, he committed his crime. He was ready to face justice. He didn't want to. That's why he ran, but he was ready for it. No, it doesn't seem like he was ready for it. He thinks that there's a conspiracy against him. Now you go, but that's paranoid. That's just schizophrenia. That's this. He was psychedelics and drugs. Everything is very neat in that there's an explanation for all of it, right? But then we get into other little tidbits of questionable things. None of it's enough to say, oh my gosh, conspiracy for sure. But if you put it all together, it's sort of it just makes everything seem weird. For example, manifestos, generally speaking, do not get released. And on the day of his arrest, not only are they already talking about releasing it for some reason, but they've already given bits and pieces of it to the press to sprinkle around. Watch this.
We found out that he had grandparents who died in 2013 and 2017, respectively. But there's nothing so far to link anyone in his family to some bitterness against the health insurance industry.
All right, well, we need to take a look at the manifesto.
Yes.
That's a manifesto I think we're going to see.
We will see. In fact, I have a quote right here from it if you want to hear something. These parasites had it coming. I do apologize for any stress and drama, but it had to be done, from his manifesto in his backpack.
All right, well, he wanted to be famous, and now he is.
You got it.
Not a good way.
They don't release manifestos. They just don't. And yet, this guy's going to get his manifesto released? I mean, they say, and I don't remember when it was. It wasn't too long ago, within the last decade. I remember hearing a report, and it was standard operating procedure for the FBI to withhold manifestos because they don't want to encourage people to commit crimes for the sake of getting their manifestos out. No, actually, you know what? It definitely was longer than a decade ago, now that I think about it. Gosh, I'm getting old. It's probably 2 decades ago. But I remember them saying that hey, you know what? We would love to release the manifesto to demonstrate this, that, or the other, but we don't want to encourage people to write manifestos and then go become mass murderers or serial killers or anything like that. So standard operating procedure, don't release the manifesto. That way they know, them being the Ted Kaczynskis of the world or whoever, they know that they're not going to be able to get their message out to the world. They're not going to be able to kill their way into fame. Well, not fame, but at least into spreading their ideology. But this one's going to get released. So you got a genius who gets busted at McDonald's. You have a bag full of evidence, and the only thing that he denies is the part that isn't going to help him in his defense. You have everybody and their dog saying they didn't see it coming, that he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. But you can justify that. It's very neat that you can use the skeleton key of back pain and psychedelics. Apparently, that combination turns you into a sort of brilliant and yet also sort of idiotic murderer, assassin of a CEO. So then, looking at all this, it's like, well, what's the point? What's the point of this guy? And this is why I believe this to be a high potential conspiracy. If you want to kill somebody, you being, let's say you're the deep state or the mafia or China or whoever, and you want to kill somebody, you can pretty much do it. If you have the resources, it happens fairly regularly, apparently. Those with the resources and the evil natures and the desire can pretty much kill anybody, right? Except for President Trump, apparently. Praise God for that. But yeah, you can send a professional assassin to kill Brian Thompson, and that assassin would probably not be seen the way that Luigi Mangione was seen. Almost certainly wouldn't get caught, and that would be it. The target would be dead, and it would be a mystery. That's option one. Option two is to stage and make it look like an accident, which happens, again, fairly regularly. Maybe all the time. Maybe there's a lot more than I even know about, but we do know that it can happen, and it does happen, and they are able to make it happen. But there's something that happens when you either have a professional assassination, no witnesses, no cameras, no evidence, just dude's dead. Or there's an accident and it's suspicious. What is the common denominator between those two scenarios? The focus turns to the victim. And that victim will be dug into by investigative journalists, by other members of law enforcement, by whoever, by a lot of people. Internet sleuths will start digging deeper, digging deeper, digging deeper. Investigations. But when you have somebody like Luigi Mangione, who is attractive, troubled, has various traits, again, the images of his back, the fact that he was graduated cum laude at an Ivy League school, the fact that he was visible, people knew him. His family is very wealthy in the elder care industry. Went to a prestigious school. That's all of these various things about him that are extremely interesting. And now, today, and really since even the early days of the investigation, of the early days following the assassination, the focus has been on the suspect even before he was caught. Pictures of him floating around. He's conspicuously, had to flirt with somebody and show his face. Had to take a cab or an Uber or whatever and show his face. His face is everywhere. He's, they've got all this focus on him. Now, yes, there was some focus on Brian Thompson, of course, because we're talking about the CEO of one of the most powerful companies in America. That's going to draw some attention. But all of the rest of the attention kept getting diverted back to the suspect. And now that we know who the suspect is and he's in custody and he has all these new interesting traits about him, the focus is 99% on him. Unlike with a professional assassination or a staged accident, the focus is on the suspect, not the victim. If you go with option 1, professional hit job, or option 2, faked accident, the focus is on the victim. I would argue that if this is indeed a conspiracy, that it's designed specifically to draw yours and my attention away from what's important, that being the victim, and putting all of our attention on Luigi Mangione. Even his name is interesting. Everything is pointing towards him. Nothing is pointing towards Brian Thompson, who, yes, was going to testify, whose company was under investigation, who was going to discuss insider trading, possibly involving important people. Not going to jump in there because I haven't been able to confirm it yet. But there are allegedly very important people that he was going to be possibly testifying against. His company was also involved in one of the largest cyber breaches in history. About 1/3 of Americans had their data stolen and ransomwared by hackers. And it included, possibly, they won't say one way or the other, but it's very possible that it included Social Security numbers. 1/3 of Americans had their data stolen earlier this year from United Healthcare. They had to pay, I think they paid like $22 million. $22 million in ransom for your data, which was already now out there. Is there something crazy about that? I don't know. I don't know what he was involved with or what he... But again, and I'm not suggesting... I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting wrongdoing. I'm not implying wrongdoing by Brian Thompson. What I'm implying is that it's possible that powerful people, deep state, again, mafia, China, could be anybody, but powerful people needed him dead and also needed to make sure nobody dug too deep into him or into his life or into what he was doing. And the only way that you can accomplish both of those is to have somebody like Luigi Mangione commit the murder. That's what I think this conspiracy is. This is what's been in the back of my mind this whole time, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I know I'm not alone. I know other people are like, well, this is all sort of neat, but what is it? What is it? What's really happening here? I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I do know that it jibes. It passes the smell test in ways that Luigi Mangione being a just a guy who went off the deep end. That does it fit? Sure, but almost too well. It's too neat. And people say, "Oh, well, that's what you conspiracy theorists do. You take something that's very, very obvious. You take the simple solution and you complicate it." Okay, yeah, that's true. It's true. But only because the simple answer in this case isn't as simple as you think if you look at it, if you look at all the moving parts. Why is he at a McDonald's with all the incriminating evidence against him right there? Why was he so brilliant he could escape, but not brilliant enough to eat his hash browns in the forest or in a park, on a park bench, in a secluded park or something? Why did he go through so much trouble to not get caught and then get caught in the dumbest way? Why did either he lie about the money that he claims was planted, or that the money actually was planted? Why would they plant it? Or why would he lie about it? Why would he have that outburst and claim that it's an insult to Americans' intelligence, that this was unjust? I mean, it's close to fitting exactly perfectly, but the parts that don't fit at all. And that's why the only thing I can think of, and this, I've been putting way too much time into this, unfortunately, but the only thing I can think of is that all of this is designed to draw our attention to Luigi Mangione and the weird leftists that are cheering him on, and the efforts of law enforcement, and the dangers of psychedelic drugs, and the bad guys in the whoever put those screws in his back, and surfing is dangerous. I don't know, but we've got all these narratives that are popping up, and now nobody's talking about Brian Thompson anymore. And to me, it's not neat at all. To me, it looks very, very, very manufactured and not in a neat way. Let me know what you think. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like and comment if you would. Even if you just comment saying, "Hey, love the show." Comments help. Likes help. Subscriptions obviously help. You can follow me. Walk with me. I don't even like the word follow, because I'm not asking you to follow me. I'm asking you to let's walk together. I'm very responsive on my X account, x.com/JD Rucker. But you can find out all the various places where I am by going to jdrucker.com/find. And hopefully we'll have more answers tomorrow. Lord willing, I will be back tomorrow with another episode. But in the meantime, stay strong, stay safe, and God bless. After Trump was elected president, I received a couple of communications from people. One via phone, text, and the other one via Twitter, X, direct message. People asking me, "Hey, now that Trump's back in office, is the economy going to get better?" And I said, yeah, in some ways it definitely will. Obviously, I mean, just Trump's presence alone will have a dramatic impact on the economy, and it will take things to the next level. But with that said, the threats still remain. Trump, Harris, didn't matter. They're still pushing. They being the powers that be are still pushing for central bank digital currencies. They're still pushing for de-dollarization and the rise of BRICS. They're still pushing for the advancement of a worldwide economy. And while Trump will do everything in his power to prevent that, to at least slow it down, Some of it is not within even the power of the United States of America itself. And this is why there is no reason, you can see by the gold prices, there's no reason to doubt physical precious metals as a proper way to hedge against what is coming. Because it's still coming. You know, there were certain scenarios that would have happened if Kamala Harris had won, and there are certain scenarios that will happen now that President Trump has won. And those scenarios still point in the same exact direction. That's the reason why even central banks are still buying up as much gold and silver as possible. That's why banks, financial institutions are recommending to their people, buy as much gold and silver as possible. I work with a faith-driven gold company. There are a lot of gold companies out there that get recommended by hosts. The one that I like happens to be driven by faith, and they actually do a tremendous job versus the competition. You can check out Genesis Gold Group by going to rumblegold.com. That's rumblegold.com, or read my testimony over at JD Rucker.